Let's get honest. You keep hearing that everyone wants happiness, that every self-help guru, every motivational quote, every LinkedIn influencer, it all peddles the same message. Maximize your success, go after what you want, thrive, but look at your own actions. Look at your history at work, in relationships, even in who you align with politically. You say you want what's best for you, but how many times have you blown up your own chances, quietly stepped back so you wouldn't outshine the group, or even backed the weaker, safer option out of some vague sense of decency or fear? Here's a reality that's harder to swallow. Most acts of self-destruction are performed in the name of virtue. Yes, you've heard of self-sabotage, staying in toxic relationships, procrastinating until opportunity vanishes, downplaying your capabilities so you don't rock the boat. But what if these aren't personal quirks or random failures of impulse control? What if there's a system, an intricate psychological operating system, designed to celebrate your own undermining as a badge of moral honor? Step back to late 19th century Europe. Nietzsche's world was teetering, factories belching out progress, old religious power fading, while new collective identities, politics, and mass movements swept away individuality. People didn't wake up thinking, "I'll sabotage my life today." They joined the herd, took comfort in numbers, and diluted every ambition to the lowest common denominator. It was safer to blend in than to stand out, to celebrate meekness instead of risk strength. Here's Nietzsche's diagnosis: slave morality. From On the Genealogy of Morals, he defines it bluntly: a value system unconsciously adopted by those without power. You end up recalibrating weakness, submission, and timidity as moral triumphs. You learn to call surrender a choice. Meekness becomes a virtue, not a necessity. Instead of envying the powerful, you shame them, teaching yourself that not even trying is ethical. Maybe right now, you're rationalizing your last quiet quitting at work as a stand for work-life balance. Or you're applauding your own virtue signaling on social media, thinking it's activism when it's actually camouflage, a Trojan horse. Slave morality invites you to celebrate your own captivity. The tragedy is deeper than bad habits or a loud internal critic. These are not just individual failings, but patterns codified in your culture: groupthink, bureaucratic inertia, the mass celebration of safe mediocrity. If society prizes empathy and kindness, why do so many hide sabotage behind compassion? Nietzsche would demand you see what's happening here. You turn surrender into a virtue, not because you chose it, but because centuries of narrative trained you to. Don't confuse this with mere low self-esteem. It's not about how you feel, but what you've been conditioned to celebrate. Just like we revealed with resentment, your frustration morphs into moral superiority, and now you no longer just endure your own limits, you glory in them. But before you brush this off, ask yourself, when did performing less, dreaming shorter, and shrinking back become your new definition of good? What happens when this logic becomes automatic, when you no longer even notice you're sabotaging yourself because your culture rewards you for it? You're not only a victim of the system, you're perpetuating it, and it's time to drag that into the light. Mass stupidity is not an accident. It is manufactured by invisible agreements. That's not me being dramatic. It's the psychological machinery running in your own head, at the office, in your friend group, and scrolling through your algorithmic feed. If you feel uneasy as I say this, you should. It means you recognize, wordlessly, the social autopilot that rewards you for sabotaging yourself. But here's the twist. You rarely notice when it's happening, because these values don't debate you. They condition you by imitation, shame, and reward, until every instinct for self-overcoming is quietly rerouted into the safest lane. Herd values do not ask you to sign a contract. They simply invite you to join and punish you if you hesitate. Let's dig deeper. Have you ever sensed, in a meeting or in your own scrolling, that some idea, maybe an objection to a flawed plan, an ambitious proposal, even a simple unpopular truth, just can't be spoken? And the peril isn't official censorship. It's the swarm of perfectly nice, normal people, suddenly cold, defensive, or snickering at your deviation. This isn't conflict. It's a policing of the margins, a ritual exile. That's what Nietzsche unlocked. Slave morality is contagious, precisely because it circumvents critical thinking. Once the logic of "don't stick your neck out" is ingrained, it doesn't need to be justified anymore. In fact, it's honored as virtue. Workplaces promote vague inclusions over excellence. Anti-merit dogmas parade as fairness. HR safe speak turns the firebrand into the problem, the skeptic into the virus. Now add the feedback loop of modern technology, algorithmic timelines and feeds that don't just reflect these herding instincts, but supercharge them. Click, share, and you're swept into a mob. One moment you're scanning headlines, the next you're part of a digital pile-on, where avoiding offense is now the top virtue, and any assertion of hard truth is something to be canceled, not debated. Groupthink is anesthesia for the soul, painless, numbing, and fatal to originality. You don't just acquiesce, you start feeling a righteous thrill when someone else is dogpiled for breach of the new etiquette. You internalize, not just the rules, but their enforcement. Nietzsche called this internalized propaganda, herd morality as an unconscious regime. Maybe you're thinking, well, this is just the price of cooperation. Aren't all social systems built on shared values? That's exactly the defense slave morality wants. Nietzsche isn't celebrating lone wolves or anti-altruism. This isn't internet Nietzscheanism. No, it's far darker. The real horror is when you defend your own mental chains, demanding that others wear them tighter alongside you. When was the last time you doubted a dearly held belief, simply because everyone around you confirmed it? If you can't remember, you've almost certainly been anesthetized. Isn't it time you learn to recognize that moment when the herd's interests quietly hijack your own? That's the only real diagnostic tool, but in order to recover the possibility for self-mastery, you'll need more than suspicion. You need a framework that lets you feel the insult that herd logic delivers, to see viscerally when you're being recruited into mediocrity, and you need to recognize what Nietzsche feared most, the arrival of the last man. In the next segment, I'll show you how this figure isn't historical or hypothetical. It's the default mode of identity under your skin. Are you ready to see how much of the last man lives in you? What if every time you failed, every self-doubt, every rationalization that kept you playing small, wasn't a flaw but a feature? Imagine if the rules you're living by, the ones that sound like compassion, modesty, or self-sacrifice, are actually a silent war against your own interests. It isn't just a personality quirk or a run of bad luck. You're breathing in propaganda with every choice you make. Step back into Nietzsche's world, late 19th century Europe. Factories belching smoke, church bells ringing hollow for a population drifting from faith, an emerging mass culture ready to swallow you whole. Individuality was smothered beneath new bureaucracies and industrial machines, as people scrambled to anchor themselves in collective identities that demanded obedience. Nietzsche didn't just diagnose a crisis of authority, he saw the birth of a new kind of epidemic, herd mentality, calibrated by mass media, built to crush the dangerous spark of real self-overcoming. You might think this horror show belongs to the past. You'd be wrong. Today, your world runs on algorithm-guided echo chambers designed to pacify, sedate, and reward obedience. Social media doesn't spread authentic rebellion. It monetizes rebellion-flavored sameness. Moral outrage is mass-produced, and dissent is anesthetized. Herd values have upgraded. You don't have to believe in anything as long as you perform the right scripts. Every time you downplay ambition, apologize for competence, or proudly moralize about the faults of others, you are enacting rituals Nietzsche called slave morality, the ultimate self-sabotage dressed up as virtue. Here's the hook. These aren't just social mistakes or collective trends. They're psychological operating systems, implanted so deeply that you take them for your conscience. This isn't history. This is about you, right now, rationalizing self-abandonment as goodness, letting your potential rot because you're afraid of what standing out would cost. Have you ever wondered why what's easiest often gets called right, or why your resistance to thriving masquerades as empathy or humility? Maybe you aren't the hero in your own story. Maybe, as Nietzsche indicts, you're complicit in your own diminishment, choosing to be less under the eyes of the herd. That queasy feeling isn't random. It's the signal that you've bought into the wrong side. But before you dismiss this as cynical or melodramatic, hold your discomfort. If you want to find the true root of your self-sabotage, you have to be willing to question your proudest virtues. The spell isn't just outside you, it's inside you. That's where Nietzsche starts breaking bones, and that's where we go next.